You are listening to the University of Miami School of Law podcast, a pre-law resource brought to you by the admissions experts at Miami Law. Visit us on the web at www.law.miami.edu. I'm Joe Matthews. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Joe Matthews, and we are delighted to be joined by Sandy Abraham, Executive Liaison of the Interdisciplinary Programs and Initiatives here at Miami Law. And Sandy is fantastic because she works with all of our joint degrees. And here at Miami Law, there's actually 21 joint degrees that you can choose from as a JD student. But today we're just going to talk about the interdisciplinary ones, not the Masters in Law programs, which there's 8. We're going to talk about the other interdisciplinary programs. So Sandy, tell us a little about yourself and tell us what is an interdisciplinary program.
Oh, I'd be happy to. I am delighted to speak with you today, Joe, because I think these programs are really valuable and offer a lot to our students. A joint degree program offers a student the possibility of obtaining a JD degree and a second degree concurrently. And essentially, you will receive 2 degrees at the end of your studies. Most of our programs are with master's degree programs with other schools and departments at the University of Miami. And essentially, the way one can think about it in the simplest terms is that the admissions process is separate. The requirements for each program are separate. The degrees are conferred separately. But what makes the programs joint is that some number of credits are double counted, so that it is possible to complete both programs in a shorter period of time and to pay fewer tuition dollars in the process.
So for visual aspects, let's take one of those programs. So the JD MBA.
Correct.
What you just said, what does that mean?
What that means is a student applies to the JD program, is accepted, and actually begins law school. And that's another little piece to this, which is that the first year of law school is only law school. Students are only allowed to take JD courses during that first year. So typically, the student will begin law school, and then during that first year, will apply to the business school to their MBA program. On the application, the student will indicate that he or she is a JD student, but the admissions criteria for the MBA program are exactly the same as they are for any other student who is applying.
Meaning they have to take the GMAT.
Exactly. In this case, the student needs to take the GMAT and go through the formal application process, which for the business school includes an interview.
So for other schools, there would be different criteria like a GRE or MCAT.
Exactly. And in many cases, the GRE is waived,
Oh, excellent.
so that the LSAT score substitutes for the GRE, which makes it a very simple process for many of our programs.
So there's a time aspect too in the value. They can do it in a shorter amount of time with these 2 degrees, correct?
You can do it in a shorter amount of time because of the double counting.
Ah,
So the law school typically will accept 6 credits from the other program, which is about half a semester's worth of credit. And the other program will accept anywhere between 6 and in the largest case, 18 credits will be accepted from the JD program towards the other degree.
so you said for most of these degrees, you start law school first. Is there
Correct.
any degree where you don't start law school first?
Our JD MD program,
Dr. Lawyer.
Dr. Lawyer, is actually a lawyer-doctor program. Where actually the student begins at the medical school and spends the first 2 years in the medical school and then comes to the law school, does a very intense 2 years worth of courses, including summers, with a goal of getting in as many of the required JD credits as possible before the student goes back to the medical school.
That's a very enterprising students, JD and MD.
JD and MD. We have one student currently in the program, and he's enjoying law school enormously and finds it very valuable.
We'll have to get him on this program to talk about it then.
Absolutely.
Can you give some examples of maybe the differences between having a concentration in a type of law within the JD program and doing these joint degrees? So is there a way that you are specializing your resume by doing these JD programs with other schools?
I think the key difference is what a student's area of interest may be. If a student is interested in an area of law that where some specialization might make a difference, for example, tax, it makes sense to think about doing a tax LLM. If a student has an interest that's interdisciplinary, that really extends to an area outside of law, then it makes sense to think about doing a joint degree program. I can give you an example where we have actually options for both. So we have, with the Frost School of Music, a JDMM in music business, and a JDMA in arts presenting. So there are two possibilities of obtaining a second degree with the Frost School of Music. For anyone interested in entertainment, it makes a lot of sense to think about one or the other of those programs. However, we also have an LLM in art, entertainment, arts, and sports law, which is really a degree for a student who knows that he or she intends to practice law in the entertainment arena. A student who does a JDMM in music business may or may not really practice law ultimately. The student may be interested in managing an artist, in working in the entertainment arena, perhaps getting involved in a startup, and the business side is as important as the legal side. So that in this case, the student has lots of choices.
So how do you advise that student? That student comes into your office and says, I want to be in the entertainment world, but I don't know if I want to do the master's in law or one of these masters in arts presenting or music business. How do you help them choose?
We talk about what ultimately their professional interests are, and sometimes it's hard for a student to figure out because they don't really know where they're going to wind up. But they can consider both options. Some of it may have to do with how well they really take to the law, studying law. There are a number of students who come to law school who think they really want to practice law, who are really interested in it, and they start law school and say, this really isn't my forte. So maybe I should think about adding something to my degree that will give me more flexibility.
Right.
And I think in today's job market, that's a very important aspect of a joint degree. The legal market is changing, and students need to be thinking more creatively about where they might want to wind up.
I was so fascinated by the fact that the JD by itself is as valuable as just being a licensed attorney, which obviously you have to have a JD to get licensed, but there are so many grads out there that just have the JD criteria, and they are very, very successful. So what you're saying is that there's a value in getting these joint degrees and these master's programs when you don't necessarily need to be a licensed attorney to do the career you want to do. You can be a JD.
Exactly. No, that's absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. I tell students say, why should I do a joint degree? What is the value? What is it going to do for me? And what I say to them is you need to think about it long term. It is not the case that your going to be able to use both degrees in your first job. It's very unlikely. But over time, it is part of your portfolio, part of your credentials. And over time, it can open doors, it can offer you opportunities that you would never have had if you didn't have both degrees.
And it diversifies you in the job market,
Absolutely.
in your resume.
Absolutely. I myself am a product of a joint degree program.
Oh, which ones?
I have an MBA and a Master of Arts in Library Science, both from the University of Chicago. I originally had thought I wanted to become the head of an academic library, and that having the business side would be very valuable. I started off in the library, on the library side, and that never happened. And I was never really a librarian or strictly a business person. I was able to create a career for myself that allowed me to use the skills and the knowledge that I obtained through those degree programs in a fairly creative way. I spent a lot of my career at Educational Testing Service and held very many different positions there. Some of them were related to information systems, which cut across both disciplines. And some of them were strictly management positions, and some of them really allowed me to pull in the library science expertise as well. So,
Are there any, I mean, yours are pretty unique, but are there any very unique programs that Miami Law offers for a joint degree that maybe is not across the board seen at other schools?
we offer a number of unique programs that really do showcase the strengths of the University of Miami. And I would like to mention several of them. I've already mentioned the Frost School of Music, and let me go back to that for a moment. The Frost School of Music is an unusual music school. Why? Because it was one of the founding schools of the University of Miami. When the university began, there was a school of music as part of it. Most schools of music in the United States are independent schools, and they may become attached to a university at some point, but they start off as music schools all by themselves. But our School of Music has been an integral part of the university since the very beginning. And the music business program is the oldest music business program in the country. So that's unique. We have at the University of Miami the Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences. We use the acronym RASMUS when we refer to it. And it is a really important research institution, which is very important to the current discussions on climate change. Scientists from Erasmus are quoted in the news continually. And we have a joint degree program with their Masters of Professional Science programs.
Isn't that campus over on the water, like in Biscayne Bay? Or?
It is on the water. It's a separate campus. It's on the water. And the joint degree program is focused on policy, which is extremely important today and allows our students to go among several different tracks within the MPS program. One of them is marine conservation. Another one is coastal zone management. We even have one on underwater archaeology, which relates to cultural property, which has a very strong legal side to it. So that's a very unique opportunity for our students to be able to do that combination.
So a student that wanted to do entertainment law, or environmental law,
Correct.
or even art law, this would be a program that might be very interesting to them.
Correct. Exactly. Another unique program that we have is one in community and social change, which is a master's degree program offered through our School of Education and Human Development. It is offered within educational and psychological studies, And it is focused on community organization. How does one create change within a community? It's a really strong program. It's unusual. It has a national reputation, and it is a really nice opportunity for our students who are interested in public interest to pursue that combination.
I think that'd be very valuable too, especially to pair with our Hope office and public interest.
Exactly, correct. Of course, Miami being a center for Latin America and everything related to Latin America, we have a combination with Latin American Studies. So any student who thinks he or she might want to get involved in Latin America, that's a nice opportunity. Additionally, I want to mention a triple degree opportunity where a student who has been a business major as an undergraduate can obtain a JD, an MBA, and an LLM in either tax, estate planning, or real property in 4 years and 2 summers.
That's very impressive, actually. 4 years and 2 summers.
4 years and 2 summers, you can come out with 3 degrees.
I would imagine that would open up many opportunities with the criteria on your resume alone.
Absolutely. So we have a number of really great opportunities here.
So Sandy, an inquisitive student, where should they go to get more information on the joint degrees and the application process for this?
It's very easy for a student to find that information on our website. A couple of clicks and you'll get to a page that lists all of the different programs. Click on any one of them and you will find yourself on a page that explains the program, what the requirements are, when to apply, and what the admissions criteria are.
And you travel quite a bit too, to different places to talk about your programs too, don't you?
I do indeed. I try to get out there and let people know about these opportunities because they really are quite wonderful.
And your travel schedule is actually on the website under the admissions page. If a student selects recruiting events, there is a full list of all the places that Miami Law travels throughout the year and the representative. And you'll see there Sandy Abraham's name if that's one of her.
Absolutely. And I'm really very easy to get hold of. You can shoot me an email or call me up on the phone. My contact information is in several places on our website.
Or you can call the admissions office and we can always redirect you or answer the questions if it's very general. And our website is law.miami.edu. You can select the academic program tab and Sandy's information will pop up there. If you have any questions on this, feel free to email the admissions office at admissions@law.miami.edu and just let us know that you heard some of this information on the podcast and you'd like to get more information. Sandy, thank you so much for coming in.
It was my pleasure.
It was. I hope to have you come in again to talk about some of the newer things that we have coming up on the horizon too.
I would be pleased to. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for coming in, Sandy. The University of Miami School of Law Office of Admissions and Student Recruitment offers open house events, tours of the law school, class visits, and advice about applying to Miami Law. The office also maintains a pre-law headquarters website and a prospective student website, which includes a wonderful resource, 29 critical questions. To speak or have an advising session with a member of the University of Miami Law Student Recruitment Team, please contact the Director, Teresa Lambert, Associate Director, Joe Matthews, or Assistant Director, Humberto Duarte, at the Office of Student Recruitment in room F203 of the Law School, or at 305-284-6746.